Most people think they know how to argue. They're wrong. The arguments you have and the arguments you see online are rarely a search for truth. They are status games played with words, where the goal is to win, to dominate, to make the other person look foolish. Both sides have a point worth hearing, and both sides are talking past each other into a void. Where do you stand? By the end of this, you might see every disagreement differently. Your brain is wired for efficiency. It builds a simplified model of your opponent's argument, a caricature. This is the straw man. It's flimsy, easy to knock over, and attacking it feels incredibly satisfying. You get the dopamine hit of victory without the hard work of genuine engagement. You've seen it 1,000 times. Someone argues for better funding for public schools, and their opponent screams, "So you want to throw money at a broken system with no accountability?" Someone suggests rethinking a company's strategy, and the response is, "So you think everything we've done for 10 years is worthless?" The original point is gone. It has been replaced by a distorted, weaker version that's easy to ridicule. Winning against a straw man proves nothing. It just shows you can beat up a scarecrow you built yourself. That sounds obvious. Yet, almost every political talk show, every social media thread, and maybe even your last family argument runs on this exact fuel. But what if there were a different way? An approach that's harder, slower, and deeply uncomfortable, an approach that might actually lead somewhere. This is the Steel Man. You take your opponent's argument and you build the strongest possible version of it. You find its most generous interpretation, its most noble motivation. You articulate their position for them, better than they did. You make it a fortress of logic and steel. And only then do you begin your response. It's a set of rules for intellectual engagement. First, you must attempt to re-express your target's position so clearly, vividly, and fairly that your target says, "Thanks, I wish I'd thought of putting it that way." Second, you must list any points of agreement. Third, you must mention anything you have learned from your opponent. Only after completing these 3 steps are you permitted to say a single word of rebuttal or criticism. Imagine how a conversation changes under these rules. The goal shifts from winning to understanding. The entire emotional tone of the disagreement is transformed. The first, most obvious benefit is that it forces you to actually learn something. You cannot steel man an argument you do not fully comprehend. It makes you a student of the opposing view. You have to walk around their fortress, check its foundations, and understand its architecture. In doing so, you often find your own position has cracks you never noticed. It's a powerful tool for intellectual humility. The second benefit is pure strategy. When you take the time to build the strongest version of someone's argument, they feel seen, they feel respected, their defense is lower. They shift from a defensive crouch to an open posture. For the first time, they might actually be willing to listen to what you have to say. Persuasion is almost impossible when the other person thinks you're attacking a caricature of them. By showing you understand their view at its best, you earn the right to be heard. It's the ultimate pattern interrupt in a heated debate. It stops the cycle of escalation and creates a space for actual dialogue. It's not about being nice, it's about being effective. That sounds convincing, but there's a problem. A big one. What happens when your opponent isn't playing by the same rules? What happens when they are arguing in bad faith? This is the great critique of steel manning. It is a form of unilateral disarmament. You are bringing a surgeon's scalpel to a street fight. While you are carefully constructing the most charitable version of their argument, they are busy building the weakest, most ridiculous straw man of yours. They misquote you. They attack your motives. They twist your words. In this context, your intellectual honesty looks like weakness. Your charity looks like naivety. You spend your energy making them sound smarter, while they spend their energy making you sound dumber. Who wins that exchange in the court of public opinion? Think of a cable news debate. One person is meticulously and fairly representing a complex policy position. The other is shouting a 3-word slogan that completely misrepresents it. The careful, nuanced argument gets lost. The slogan gets the applause. Steel manning a bad faith actor can feel like volunteering to be their unpaid public relations agent. You're doing their intellectual labor for them, polishing a flawed argument until it gleams, just so you can have a principled debate with it. And this raises an even darker question. What about dangerous ideas? What about ideologies built on hate, disinformation, or outright delusion? Is it your moral duty to find the strongest, most charitable version of a racist tract or a bizarre conspiracy theory? When you steelman a toxic idea, you risk giving it a coherence and legitimacy it never earned on its own. You might be trying to understand it in order to refute it, but to an outside observer, it looks like you are taking it seriously. You are lending your own credibility to an idea that deserves only to be dismissed. There's a concept called a Motte and Bailey argument. It's a rhetorical trick where someone makes a bold, controversial claim, the Bailey. When challenged, they retreat to a much safer, more reasonable, and often trivial position, the Motte. For example, someone might claim all private property is theft, a radical Bailey. When you push back, they retreat to the Mott. Well, what I really mean is that we should have a more progressive tax system to fund social programs. Your attempt to steelman their initial, extreme claim can inadvertently help them build a better, more defensible Mott. You've helped the bad faith actor disguise their true position. So is steelmanning a fool's errand, a noble but useless gesture in a world of intellectual combat. Perhaps we're looking at it the wrong way. The true power of steelmanning may have little to do with the other person. Its primary target might be you. Practicing the steelman is a form of mental resistance training. It's like lifting weights. The weight isn't your enemy. The resistance is what builds your strength. When you force yourself to construct the best possible version of an idea you despise, you are pressure testing your own beliefs. You are actively searching for your own blind spots. If you can build a formidable steelman of the opposing view and still dismantle it, your own position becomes nearly indestructible. You've moved beyond simple belief into a state of deep-tested conviction. Conversely, if you try to steelman an argument and find it surprisingly difficult to defeat, that's priceless information. It tells you that your own position is weaker than you thought. This practice is a filter for your own bad ideas. It's an internal quality control process. Seen this way, it matters very little if your opponent is arguing in good faith. The exercise is for you. You're not making them stronger. You are making yourself sharper. Furthermore, steelmanning can be the ultimate diagnostic tool. What happens when you try to build a steelman of an argument and you simply can't? You search for its logical core, its best evidence, its most charitable intent, and you find nothing. Just a tangle of contradictions, fallacies, and emotional appeals. That failure is incredibly revealing. It's evidence that the position may be fundamentally incoherent. An argument that cannot be steelmanned is likely a very, very bad argument. It shows that there is no fortress there. There's just a pile of rubble disguised as a castle. This allows you to disengage with confidence. You're not running from a fight you can't win. You've simply done the architectural survey and confirmed the building is condemned. You can walk away, knowing that further engagement is a waste of time. It separates the difficult, challenging ideas worth your time from the hollow, performative nonsense that clogs up our discourse. It helps you decide where to invest your most precious resource, your attention. The core tension is about context. Steelmanning is an exceptional tool for truth-seeking conversations where both parties share a baseline of respect and a desire for a better answer. In these situations, it accelerates understanding and builds bridges. But in a purely adversarial, status-driven conflict, it can be a strategic liability. The real skill is learning to read the room. Is this a lab? Or is this a battlefield? Are you talking to a potential collaborator or a committed enemy? Answering that question incorrectly is the source of endless frustration. Using the wrong tool for the job. Applying the rules of a friendly chess match to a game where the other player is throwing the pieces at your head. Maybe the mistake is thinking we have to choose one mode. Perhaps the wisdom is in the switching. To be able to steelman with rigor and charity when the context allows, and to recognize with speed and clarity when it does not. So where do you draw the line? At what point does principled engagement become naive complicity? When you encounter an idea you find abhorrent, is your first duty to understand it from its strongest possible angle, or is it to refuse to grant it that dignity? Who are you really serving when you build a fortress for an idea you plan to burn down? The truth, your opponent, or just the rigor of your own mind?